Hi, I'm Raymond. Welcome to Crimson Kitchen. Man, I have always been a huge fan of steak, especially ribeye steak. I've also always been a fan of robust, savory flavors. And if you are too, have I got a steak for you. This incredible steak meal that we're about to cook goes from preparation to your dinner table in under 20 minutes, and most of that time is going to be spent watching TV. This is a delicious, robust, savory ribeye steak with a side dish that's a medley of peppers, onions, and mushrooms that is just going to blow you away. It's pan broiled, so no grill required. I think you're going to love it, so let's get to it. What we're going to need is one steak. I prefer ribeye. This technique works with other steaks as well. New York strip, porterhouse, any good cut of meat. So we need one 1-inch steak, frozen. You do not have to thaw this steak. If there's not a 1-inch steak available, most grocery stores have a butcher that'll cut you a steak at whatever thickness you ask them for. 8 ounces of sliced baby bella mushrooms, 1 onion, 1 bell pepper, 1 tablespoon of butter, and then each of these is 1/4 to 1 teaspoon depending on taste. We're gonna use Montreal seasoning, Worcestershire sauce, Dale's steak seasoning, garlic salt, and black pepper. The ingredients are up here on the screen, so you can pause it and look at those if you want to. They're also in the description. The description will always be correct because that's the last thing that I do. That applies to all of my Crimson Kitchen videos, and I always feel like I need to throw that caveat out there. So this is it. This is all we need. Let's get to it. Set our oven to broil. High broil if you have that option. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is take an oven pan, not a broiling pan, an oven pan. We don't want that broiling rack on there. There's going to be a lot of juices that are going to cook out of the steak. And we want the steak to sit right in those juices while it cooks. I like to cover mine with aluminum foil. Then we're going to take our frozen 1-inch thick steak. We're going to lay it in the pan, kind of along the side here. Leave some room over on this side because we got some other things that are going to go over there. And on this side, we're going to put some Worcestershire sauce. That's half a teaspoon there. I guess I called that a little short. Let's call that a teaspoon. We're just going to rub that Worcestershire sauce into the meat there. Honestly, I don't usually measure this. I'm just doing that for the benefit of the camera. But it comes out to about a teaspoon. That's about what I usually put on there, just enough to cover that side of the steak and rub it in a little bit. And then again, not something I usually measure, but I'm gonna call this a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. Yeah, about a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. Yeah, that's just, matter of fact, that's perfect. Yeah, half a teaspoon of garlic salt. And let's go ahead and put our steak in there on the top oven rack. Go ahead and set a timer for 11 minutes. Now, while our steak is boiling on side 1, let's go ahead and slice our onion and our bell pepper. We don't want to dice these. What we want to do is cut them into strips. So the way I like to do that is to cut them in half, cut the ends off, peel them, and then just cut them long ways like this. See that? Now we got nice strips. Break them up there and you see you got nice strips of onions. Then for our bell pepper, we're going to cut it in half. Take out the seed portions. I like to peel away some of this white section of the bell pepper here. And then again, we'll cut this into strips. Then I like to take those strips and cut them in half lengthways. So we get pieces about that size. And lastly, our baby Bella mushrooms are pre-sliced, so we don't have to slice those up. We'll just put them here on our cutting tray. And let's go ahead and cut a tablespoon off of our butter. All right, so now we're gonna take that steak out. Our timer is expired. We're going to take that steak out. We're going to flip it over to the other side. And on this side, we're going to use about a teaspoon of Dale's steak seasoning. And again, just put it on there and just kind of rub it in. And then on this side, we're going to use about a teaspoon of Montreal steak seasoning. Get it all over there. Oh yeah. Now right here where we left some space in our pan, let's put all of these peppers, mushrooms, and onions that we've cut up. I've taken my tablespoon of butter and I've cut it into fourths so we can sort of make it a little more evenly distributed over those vegetables. Now just douse these things in Worcestershire sauce. I don't know what this is, maybe about a tablespoon. Yeah, about a tablespoon. Just douse them in Worcestershire sauce. Just make sure they're nice and covered. Worcestershire sauce. And then put about a teaspoon of garlic salt on these as well. Now back in the oven we go. Okay, we're gonna put 9 more minutes on our timer. Okay, it's time for this to come out of here. Now, I like my steak rare, but depending on how thick this steak is and how you like your steak, these cooking times vary. And so if you have a frozen 1-inch steak, then your results should be very similar to mine. But really the only way to gauge that is just through cooking these a lot and knowing exactly how you like them cooked and how long to put them in there, and or just coming in here and checking it. So the way to do that is to just cut into it and see how rare it is. See, that's a nice rare cut of meat. So one thing I like to do is after I take that steak up onto my plate, I like to move these peppers and onions into that good fat that cooked out of that steak. And just let them sort of bask in it, man. Just let them soak up some of that flavor like that. See that? Oh, that makes these so good. And then we'll serve these up as well. All right, I think that looks excellent, man. That is ready to go. I've cut that steak in half because Jordan and I are gonna share it. The macros, by the way, at the beginning of the video are based on an 8-ounce cut of meat. So that's, if you want to cut your meat and measure that and weigh that or just estimate to that, but that's what the macros are based on. But that is a really good looking cut of meat right there, and we are about to dive into it. All right, so Jordan and I are settling in here to eat our robust ribeye steak. So I'm having, this whole meal fits in well with the ketogenic diet, but this does not. I'm having a Blue Moon. I'm having a wheat beer with mine, but I feel like if you want it to be keto, you know, there's keto options. There's the Michelob Ultra and all of that, but a good beer, man. A good beer goes good with a good robust steak. Let's give it a try here. Jordan's already diving into his. just a huge fan of robust flavors. And then the peppers and onions are, they cook just long enough to have that level of crispiness about them. They're soft, but they still have just a hint of crispiness about them. And that's why we put them in halfway through the cooking process, so they wouldn't become overcooked and become too soft. And the Worcestershire sauce and the garlic salt just really set them off. All right, well, friends, thank you so much for joining us today. Dorian and I are going to finish our steaks and our peppers, onions, and mushrooms. And I'm going to finish my beer. And Dorian's going to finish his root beer because he's got a few years yet. At least as far as I know, right? But yeah, we're going to go ahead and finish our dinner. And look, thank you so much for joining us here today. If you don't mind, if you get anything out of this, if you enjoy this, please consider giving me a subscribe and a like. I'm really trying to grow this channel, putting a lot of work into it, and I hope you're getting something out of it. And if you are, please consider those things. And even if you don't, we really appreciate you joining us here today. And thank you so much. And I hope you're sitting down and enjoying a good dinner as well. And we'll see you next time on Crimson Kitchen. Bye.